Hello, and welcome to the New Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Dawn Lusht. Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep, long breath. Feel into that quiet space within you, the place where you first feel, the place where your truth lives, and where your power has been waiting, and where the wild one still whispers. This podcast is a sanctuary for visionaries, disruptors and wayshowers, and those who are done shrinking to fit a world that never saw their wholeness. Here we explore what it really means to come home to yourself, to break free from emotional and mental barriers, to shed the roles, the masks and the survival stories, and reconnect with the wild essence of who you truly are. As your guide and mentor, I'm here to illuminate what's hidden, speak the truths that others may fear to voice, and walk beside you on this sacred path of reclamation. This space is infused with hope and clarity, healing and a deep love, because the world needs your full presence now more than ever before. Here's the truth. Healing and success are not about striving, but about remembering. They're about choosing yourself over and over again. And because the most powerful relationship that you will ever have is the one with your wild one. We are living in a time of massive change. And to rise with the new earth, we must upgrade our thoughts, honor our emotional bodies, and let our intuition lead. You are a spark of infinite light, and this is your new dawn. So let's walk each step together, wild, rooted, and free. Good morning. I hope you are enjoying Taurus season and that you're feeling grounded and that things are feeling like they're coming together, that you are noticing a settling in your body and in your emotions a little bit. It's been quite a deeply emotional time, lots and lots of big feelings coming to the surface, which, like I've said before, is definitely going to be a theme over the next 12 years. And how we learn to navigate and manage our emotions are really the key of what we're trying to do here. This is the whole point. Ascension is an inside job. It was an external experience until the world got manipulated and controlled by other forces. And then we had to create the ascension that really needed to happen no matter what, for the evolution of our species, of our consciousness, of Earth. It became an inside job, so the body becomes the vehicle. The body is where we learn to transform, transmute, evolve, and connect to love, connect to ourselves, connect to each other, and ascend, if that's the language that resonates with you. And one of the things that I am very, very keen on understanding and working on in my own personal experience are the really big feelings, because those are the ones who sideswipe you, that take you by surprise, that can linger for a really long time. And for many of us, they are part of this continued life experience. So if you've got issues with boundaries or toxic relationships or feeling insecure or self-doubt or wondering what's going on, these are big life lessons. Like I call them our big burritos, because they're the portals, they're the feelings through which we transform the greatest part of ourselves back into unity and wholeness and truth and connecting to the wild one within. And Some of my biggest themes have been to do with boundaries, absolutely, and insecurity. So I'm a recovering anxious attacher. So with anxious attachment comes a bucket load of insecurity, feelings of self-doubt, needing external validation and external people to help you feel better, and yet ironically you become hyper independent, so you're constantly in a state of feeling unsafe and insecure. So that's challenging. And so what we're looking to do here is really understand how to relate to these big emotions and what to do with them, because they can feel like a massive wave crashing against you, overtaking you, overwhelming you, drowning you. And because we're not taught how to relate to that, how to sit with those, how to be with our big emotions, and actually we're reinforced to stay in those states. You know, the whole of society is created to reinforce fear and disconnection from ourselves. So you're kind of stuck in a space of overwhelm for quite a lot of the time, and it can feel really overwhelming. And one of the things that I've really had to, I want to say battle with, because it does feel like a battle within ourselves when we're not at ease or at peace. Like there's this constant fight that's going on within, and it does feel like a battle. And that's why it feels so heavy and draining and exhausting, right? And one of the things that I've had to work on a lot is a feeling of insecurity, which is based on not feeling safe within myself, not feeling secure, not understanding when my own intuition and inner guidance is saying, how to translate that, how to discern whether fear is running the program or intuition is running the program, and constantly outsourcing who I am to other people to tell me who I am, especially if you've ever looked into your human design. I'm a projector, which means, ironically, we are validated by other people, especially early on in our childhood. If we don't get that external validation from other people in terms of who we are, our insights, our guidance, really celebrating, encouraging, especially what we see, who we are and how we are, we tend to grow up still needing that external validation, but it gets completely confounded and mixed up with the whole anxious attachment and feelings of insecurity and all that kind of stuff. So there's an extra layer there that gets involved in all of this, which can make it feel a little bit more complicated. But as I'm sat here in the park and feeling some old insecurity bubbling up, it's made me realize that what we're dealing with here is a recalibration. And this is the process that I use all of the time for any of the big feelings, any of the small feelings that linger for a bit longer. They need attention, they need a recalibration. They don't just go away. If anything, they go away, but they compound, they get bigger, and we start to believe them more. We start to validate these wounded thoughts and feelings even more, so they grow. And after time, it can feel like we're in our own personal hell loop, which is what I call when you repeat something over and over again without a feeling of being able to get out of it. There's a little bunny rabbit over there. It's really cute. And so with the recalibration, there are certain things that I do that are fundamental each time. So the first is, and this is an inside job, right? I'm not looking to Ben to make me feel better. I'm not looking to somebody else to make me feel better. I've done enough work on myself to know how this process works. I've worked with coaches, I've worked with guides, I've worked with important people who've held my hand and guided me along the way, to the point where now I can do this for myself the majority of the time. And so what I'm looking for is my connection to my inner child. And when I'm feeling into insecurity and my inner child, what she's asking for is validation that she is awesome. Yeah. So I will take time, and I have taken time to go in and be with my inner child this morning. She's 4 in this particular situation. Go in and talk to her and tell her that she is truly loved and awesome and wonderful. And because I've done this process so many times, she doesn't have resistance to this kind of connection. But a lot of the people that I work with do have some resistance to connecting with their inner child in that way, and that's normal. But over time, the relationship grows and you start to trust each other, so you can validate her and she receives that information and that feeling and that love, and it feels profound and important and wonderful. So I've done that. Then I go to my heart, in the center of the chest, that place where we first feel. And one of the tools that I use a lot is using either helichrysum, because essential oil, because heli meaning sun, helichrysum. I find that the heart holds a lot of darkness, a lot of black spots. And so when you take the helichrysum and put it on your heart, it's like you are working with the sunshine to dispel the darkness in those black spots. You don't have to overthink it. I can visualize it now. If you intend it to be so, that's enough. So take the helichrysum, put it over your heart, and just feel the expansion of the rays of light moving into all corners and areas that feel a bit dark and sticky. And just sit with the sunshine emanating from your heart, and it feels so good, especially if you have a daily practice of working with helichrysum. I did this a lot when I was working through healing a lot of relationship trauma when I was first dating Ben, and it was really profound and one of the most important tools that I used. And then I'll connect into my hara line, which is that central vertical line of energy that connects 3 feet above my head all the way down my spine, 3 feet below my feet, and that's my core. This is the core part of me. That's the bit that we're essentially working on all of the time to reinforce, to solidify. So when I was doing, when I self-represented in a court case, a custody court case, I was working with black spruce along my hara line to reinforce the sense of strength and solidity by imprinting with black spruce tree. So I would imagine that I had the black spruce trunk of the tree running through my hara line, feeling, and I can feel it now, like I've done it so often that it doesn't take much for me to connect in, to feel the strength of the tree. And you can use any tree, you can use whatever oil you want, whatever feels right. You might even want to use like a brilliant platinum white light that I talk about in the 12D Shield, which is one of the meditations, boundary meditations in my podcast. So that's really powerful. And then, so those would be my inside practices, and I would spend time with each one, really sitting in the energy, with dispelling, finding out what my inner child needs, dispelling any darkness and blackness, and then reinforcing my core. And then I go to physical movement. So I know sometimes actually I need to do physical movement before I do those inner practices, because I'm in a activated state. Emotions feel too big. That means I can't connect inwards. So I need to dispel that before I go into the physical movement. No, sorry, the other way around. Physical movement first. So I've personally found that half an hour of walking is my sweet spot, half an hour or more. Running when my when my knee and my feet aren't sore, and then being able to sit either with my feet on the floor, on the grass outside if that's possible, or just being in a safe space at home. I've created a safe space in a corner where I have my favourite blanket, I have my favourite oils. I'm very influenced by lighting and sensory experiences around me. So there's really beautiful lighting, there's lots of plants, lots of sensory smells, and that helps me to feel much, much calmer. And so I then go into those inner experiences from that space. And once I've done those things, my aim is to get to a point where I can stay curious with the experience of insecurity rather than compound the thoughts that it's creating, because all of our emotions have thoughts attached to them. And if you stay in insecurity, what happens is it starts to compound, it grows, it goes, yes, you're right, I am insecure, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, I am like this, I am like that. And it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And it's normally unconsciously, it's normally without much awareness, it just sort of happens. You're essentially validating one of two viewpoints depending on how much intention and awareness you're bringing. So you're either validating and reinforcing your wounded self or your wild one, your truest self. And depending on how you approach these big emotional moments, do you drop and roll or do you just try and ignore and carry on and numb it out? Those are your choices ultimately, and depending on which one you choose depends on how you are going to feel at the end of the day. And sometimes these are things that you need to do for a week or 2 weeks, you know, especially with so much planetary clearing, so much ancestral clearing. There is stuff coming up to the surface, and this is such an important way of being able to connect with yourself, to clear emotion, to clear heaviness, to move through that ancestral clearing and create more lightness and space within you to allow different feelings and thoughts to come in and upgrade, right? So I want you to practice going, that's interesting, rather than compounding something. That's interesting that I'm feeling like that. Oh, okay, that's what's happening right now. Curious. And I'm a big fan of journaling, massive fan. I journal every single thing because I find otherwise I easily go into looping of my own thoughts. Less so these days, a lot less so these days. I've had a lot of practice at being able to discern which thoughts come from which perspective, and so I can choose much, much more easily, and I can discern and sit with curiosity much more easily to discern which one is which. But nonetheless, journaling is such a key and important part of I think pretty much everybody's journey. If you've got resistance to journaling, it's probably because you've got resistance to exploring what's actually going on inside of you. And that level of the self-honesty, honestly, that is the bit that really needs your attention. If we can't inquire to the contents of our hearts with pure honesty and then action on it, then we still keep staying in those hell loops, those karmic cycles, and they don't just naturally vanish. They can't. They need alchemy, they need transmuting, they need change, they need processing, they need active participation. Some people call it reparenting. Instead of it just being some sort of very wounded child, what we're doing is actively going back in and reparenting ourselves, and that's an active participation. If you're a parent, you'll know that parenting is something we have to do rather than it just happens. And, as much as sometimes when you're tired, you wish it did. And then lastly, I want you to remember that what we need to do is then refocus the attention onto something positive. So once you've identified that you're not feeling so great, then you start to inquire as to what's going on. After maybe you've discharged the big feelings and emotions through some movement or singing or humming or somatic therapy of some kind, then we need to repoint the focus to something that feels empowering, right? Because we're moving from disempowerment, which is what insecurity feels like, into something empowering, which is what the wild one is all about. We're here to embody the wilderness within us and remember who she is. And so I want you to think about and find a series of audios that really feel empowering to you. For me personally, I've created one in my podcast all about embodying the, actually I can't remember which one it is, I'm going to put it in the show notes. It's to do with inner power, because we want to really focus that attention back onto something that feels empowering. I know I've said that, but it's so important that I want you to really anchor that into your mindset right now. And so listen to that as many times as you need to for your body to start going, hang on, I recognize this. There's some space being created. You should already be feeling a little bit more space between you and the feeling of insecurity after having done the inner child and the heart and the Hara lines and physical movement. What we're doing is creating a bit of space between us and those big feelings, so we can then ask the question, what was that showing me? But it's much easier to get that level of information and figure out what's going on and what these big feelings are showing us from a place of security, feeling much more empowered. The clarity is so much easier from that space. So I encourage you to follow this kind of process. Find what works for you, but in the meantime, whilst you're figuring that out, this really is a powerful, powerful process that I really encourage you to explore if you haven't already. And then I'd finish off the process with asking yourself, what is this big feeling showing me? What is it that it's trying to share with me? And it might be that it's trying to show you where your wound of identity is, about actually that's not true about me. Guaranteed that it's probably not true about you. But it still has messages, it still has guidance. It might even just be showing you where your blind spot is. Your blind spot is these kind of experiences or thoughts or relationships that need some attention. So let me know how you get on with that. That's a really fundamental, if there was one thing that you absolutely embodied and practiced and took on for the next year, it would be this, guaranteed. And I'm going to do some more work around this. There's going to be a course that I'm going to bring out, and some other work around some essential oils and some webinars. Like, there's going to be lots of supportive, really nourishing content that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next couple of years, especially the next 6 months. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not subscribed to my Substack, that's where I'm going to be putting these longer, more detailed blog posts where you can find more information about these kind of things. There's only so much you can go into either on a podcast or in Substack. So, and both of them feel like such a nourishing place for me to express my gifts and what I want to share with you. So I would encourage you to do that. And plus, when you subscribe to Substack, I will be sending out information about the courses and the workshops, the webinars, all of the first line of information and news is where I will be sending it first, as well as my WhatsApp group. So please keep up to date, and I would love to have you as part of this process. In the meantime, let me know how this lands. I would love to hear from you, and keep believing in yourself.